All right. It's Sunday, April 19th. I'm doing this later in the evening. It's around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. This is song, I believe, number 7, right? Yeah. Song number 7 for Wrath of the Bull. It's called Only So Many Vices. Let me sing this right off the bat so I don't forget how any of these parts go. Inspirations fade away, no re entry through the gate. Just a tournament of thieves, disappear like history. Your introduction to the greed, lust and lunacy. Surrendered sex appeal, confusion of the fear. But don't get it twisted, just float the gray. Time the resistance, it's pay to play. There's only so many vices to hit the fold. We would do frozen addictions and rolls and eight and rolls and eight and rolls and eight and rolls and eight. Gamble night and day, only extras to replace. Deadly as the pinch, disloyal as the plague. The ending scars the meaning, the guys better abandon. Cycle in the guilt, traditional contempt. But don't get it twisted. Ignore the grief, emotional fiction, enough to steer. Enough to something. I don't like that. But don't get it twisted. Ignore the grief. Emotional fiction. Enough to eat. Enough to bleed. Enough to bleed. I had that first, but I feel like I say that all the time. I use blood and bleed like every song I write. But don't get it twisted. Ignore the grief. Emotional fiction. Enough to eat. See. I don't know. I'll think of something. Enough to plead. Plead? I don't know. I have to come up with something. Enough to beat. Enough to plead. I'll go with that right now. You go into a bridge after that. The road was meant to wind. So trip and stumble with style. Set and rise by design. Or break the state and find your own way. Da, 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 da. I'm not sure if I want to put another verse here. I think I do, so right now I'm just going through this again, and I think I should add a verse 3. So I would add a verse 3 here, and you would end with that same type of, it's almost a pre-chorus, but don't get it twisted. No scams to pry, toss contradictions to the stubborn side. Your worth entangled up the spine, desperate as your inner child. And don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. No eyes the blind. And you kind of would just build off of something like that to end it, kind of spoken word. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. I just kind of like that phrase for some reason. I don't think I've ever used that in any of my songs. And yeah, I said yesterday I was going through my old anthology. Well, it's only a year or two ago I wrote it, of all my old songs that I wrote over the last 20 years. And you notice things after you go through it. I've probably been through the anthology like 50 times when I was editing it back in 2023. And there was one, Baseball on the Radio. The first couple of songs I used the same phrase, pulling teeth, in like two different songs, and I was like, man, I should probably edit that. But I don't know. Maybe that was just in my head back then. Pulling teeth. Isn't there a song called Pulling Teeth? I don't know. I'm thinking of something else maybe. Like a stepping razor. Like a stepping razor. Is that how it goes? That's like a Bob Marley. Stepping razor. For some reason that song's in my head. Yeah, Peter Tosh, sorry. I'm like a stepping razor. If you want to live, treat me good. Yeah, I love that song. I kind of feel like Sublime covered that. Maybe that's how I learned of that song. 'Cause I didn't really know Peter Tosh until later in life. But I'll add that since that's pretty cool. It just came in my head. Like a stepping razor. I bring that up because this song has a dub appeal. I think it's a lot of Sublime influence, actually. Lee Scratch Perry. I don't know if Sublime was influenced by Lee Scratch Perry, but I would imagine they must have, if they were going for that dub kind of appeal. Not really reggae. I wouldn't say Sublime was reggae, but there was parts of reggae, but I guess they would even define themselves as more dub, and I don't know. Sublime's a unique type of band. They could kind of do a lot of different types of music. So I think there's a lot of Sublime in this song, and I don't know. I don't want this to come off like a filler song because I was kind of like trying to go through these melodies today and yesterday. And right after I recorded the last one, it's probably not a good idea to go into the next song right after that because everything kind of sounds the same. So I was kind of like forcing this one out to make it sound different. And even if it has a Sublime dub type of thing, it's also kind of rap, like the early type of hip hop. And I even put some disco. I feel like I hear Bee Gees, Staying Alive, and like Michael Jackson stuff. I hear that type of 80s, even though disco was late 70s. Off the Wall is kind of like Michael Jackson's disco album. I heard people say that before. You can hear the disco quality of it. But I'm not a disco guy, but there is some cool moments in the disco era which didn't really last that long. It's very weird how disco just came about like that. I guess it was a part of the drug culture, people doing cocaine and just want to dance to something. I don't know. I guess it just fit that era, that very specific time period of like late 70s. Because I don't think disco lasted that long. I always remember the story of like the Chicago White Sox maybe, and they just had killed disco night at the baseball game where they just smashed all the disco records and shit. That's pretty funny. That's like a Simpsons episode or something. And here come the pretzels. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of funny. It's making me laugh thinking of that shit. I don't know if something like that could occur today. I don't know what it would really be about. Maybe like auto tune, kill auto tune night at the Phillies game. But anyway, yeah, that's how the song goes. Is this how the melodies will go in the future when I revisit this? I don't know, because I was kind of doing this half heartedly. Inspirations fade away, no re entry through the gate. I don't know if I should do it like a rap song or kind of like the Bradley Noel style. So I'm not really sure yet. I put Run DMC because that was the first thing I heard in my head. Inspirations fade away, no re entry through the gate. Just a tournament of thieves disappear like history. Your introduction to the greed, lust, and lunacy. Surrendered sex appeal, confusion of the fear. But don't get it twisted. I think I like that better. Just float the gray. Time the resistance. It's pay to play. It's kind of like that old kind of hip hop style, which, I wasn't born in that. Well, I wasn't listening to hip hop in the 80s. I was still like a little kid. I didn't hear Beastie Boys or anything until the 90s. Maybe the 94-ish, 95. People started listening to The Chronic and stuff like that. Easy. I think, well, a lot of people in grade school, I remember, had the Criss Cross album. I missed the bus. I missed the bus. I missed the bus. And that is something I will never, ever, ever do. So I have to add that too, because that's kind of funny to remember that. Jump, jump. I missed the bus. So yeah, I was one of those Catholic school suburbanites with the MC Hammer and Criss Cross. But yeah, I'm proud of that. I rocked out. I'm like 10 years old, man. You hear Criss Cross was a really cool beat. I don't know what they sampled that from, if they even did, but that was a good song. I think it would still hold up today. Jump, jump. Mac Daddy make you. That was a good song. I don't know. Let me look that up real quick. It had to be early 90s. Did Criss Cross sample anything? I'm actually curious to learn that now. Sample the beat to jump, jump. It was just called jump, jump, right? To jump, jump. It had to be early 90s. Yes. Criss Cross sampled the beat for their 1992 hit Jump, produced by Jermaine Dupri, sorry. Jermaine Dupri. I've heard that name before. It's actually Michael Jackson. Jackson 5's I Want You Back. I never realized that was a Jackson 5, but it was pitched up and looped to create the playful melody. Yeah, I'll have to share that because that was a big song in, like, I don't know, sixth grade for me or something like that, around that time period. That was the Casey Kasem era that I talked about, when you would just listen to the radio and commercial top 40 because that's all you had. It's amazing how things change so quickly, like absolutely insane. I feel like looking back at that era of the early 90s in terms of media, music, movies, it was such a different time, man. You actually had to go to the movie theater to watch the Ninja Turtle movies. You had to go to Sam Goody and buy a $20 CD. And a lot of times there was like one good song on it, and you're like, shit, they got me again. But that was a great experience, though. There was a Tower Records near me. I used to go there all the time. It's such a different experience than it used to be. Everything's so insular. Is that a correct word? Insular? Like, I call myself an introvert, and I definitely am. I'm very insulated in my bubble. Yeah, well, insular kind of means narrow-minded, isolated, or detached. Well, you could kind of fit me in that box too. It's not a good thing to be a part of. But yeah, I'm definitely partially like that. At least since 2020, definitely. That's when I really became isolated by design, really. I didn't want to go anywhere or do anything with anybody. But maybe there's kind of a political um, insular. I think people kind of conflate that with ignorance almost. Like you're just narrow-minded, which is a form of ignorance. Yeah, that is ignorance. So I wouldn't use that type of definition, but I do isolate myself like that. But yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah, the way people consume media today through music, movies, or TV shows, it's all done streaming on their phone or tablet or whatever. It's just a different way to exist in that world. Um, there was a movie a while ago that kind of went into that about how technology is disconnecting people in terms of community and other stuff. So it's not a new phenomenon. I think a lot of people have these discussions. Um, but back to the music of this song. Yeah, I don't want it to come out like this is some filler song, because it's not. I put some thought. I did think about the words I used. Like, I didn't put more thought into these lyrics than anything else. Not no less or no more. I just write whatever comes out the first draft, and sometimes I keep it, sometimes I have to change things later. And I wanted to blend those genres together because there is a connection between rap, hip hop, and dub music, that Lee Scratch Perry stuff, and disco music. You could kind of blend that together. I'm sure disco music has been sampled in hip hop at some point, whether it's sped up or done differently. But there is a connection if you want to look at the evolution of hip hop. I'm sure disco played some part in it, maybe not to a very large degree, but I always picture. I watched that Wu Tang series on FX. I forget what it was called. Let me give it credit. It was really well done. Wu Tang. It was just not a document. It was actually actors and stuff. I think it was just called an American Saga. Came out a couple years ago. Really well done. One of the best episodes I've ever seen was when they kind of describe how they would write their songs. Like it was so trippy. It showed like I forget which guy it was, but he was like trying to write a beat or something, and it showed like inside his head the drummer going off and all these different beats going on inside of his mind, and they portrayed it on the screen so perfectly. It was so cool. Like he was manipulating the drummer to do this inside his head. It was so cool. That was the best representation I ever saw. Maybe I can find that clip. If I can, I'll share it because it was very well done. It was the best representation of songwriting I've ever seen. The inner workings of a composer. I forget who it was. I can't think of his name. But the main beat maker in Wu Tang. And I never really connected too greatly with Wu Tang's music. It's cool. I like the DIY approach. I talked about that to death yesterday. They just moved into like an apartment and somehow they were able to record all their first album like that. That's why, yeah, the documentary, or not the documentary, the mini series was so well done. It's actually longer than that. It's not a mini series. It's just 3 seasons. It was pretty long. It took me about maybe a week or two to watch it all. But it's really well done if you've never checked it out. Even if you don't like Wu-Tang too much, you'll probably grow to enjoy them more because you'll know their story. So I would recommend that. But yeah, the only other thing I could think of was that movie with Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley, where he's all drunk, he's an alcoholic, he goes at a bar and he watches her sing on stage like an open mic, and he imagines all the other instruments accompanying her on stage, the bass, the piano, guitar part, drums, like he imagines it, and they show it on the screen what he's imagining to go along with Keira Knightley singing. And it's pretty cool. I forget what that movie's called. Maybe Sing Street? Is that something else? I don't remember. Yeah, that's it, I think. Is it? Nah, I'm totally. That's some teeny bop movie. What's it called? The Mark Ruffalo, Keira Knightley. Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley. There's some cheese to that movie too, but it's overall pretty good. And it has CeeLo Green in it. Yeah, Begin Again. All right. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. It's a good movie. I think the songs are actually pretty good. 2013. Wow, I thought it came out just a couple years ago. But it's a well done look at songwriting if you like movies like that. And the beginning, so the first part of the movie is perfect. Then it gets a little, I don't know, corny or non unrealistic, maybe a little, but it's a movie. Like, what am I complaining about? But it's cool. It's a very cool concept. If you never watched that, it's worth checking out. But what am I talking about? Well, the musical direction of this song is basically I wanted to blend those genres together. That was a decision I made on the toilet this morning when I was going through this again. That I don't want to get stale in this album because it's only 8 songs, but yeah, I feel like maybe they're blending together a little bit too much. And I did put Jack White again on this just because I feel like he's a guiding force on this one. But I don't know. Maybe just some guitar solos in this. It's more of a hip hop dance song, really. So this album did become different than what I expected it would be. I was expecting all rock, all like bluesy rock songs, and from the last few days I've been doing this, there was probably more elements of funk music, more elements of pop even, and even yesterday was kind of an angsty song, but done in a happy way. And then yeah, that other one, the Poor Don't Get to Choose, that's very hardcore punk rock-ish. So I'm kind of blending things together again and seeing how things will flow, trying to at least. And I think I liked how I approached the verses the second time, more in that Run DMC style, I think. I'm not going to say it's simple rapping, it's just it's the more older type of style in terms of the music and the flow of the breath control and everything. I don't know. I'm not an expert in hip hop stuff, but I feel like I know enough to try to approach it from a technical perspective to kind of separate what it's like today and what it was like in the 80s and 90s. Because just like anything, it changes. Um, Even what I've been talking about every day with the Jack White, his interpretation of blues music, rock music, southern rock, even when he gets into other more heavy stuff. I wouldn't really say heavy metal, but he does get very riff reliant, which is good. That's not a criticism. That type of music requires that, so he writes really good riffs, I think. And he's got a good voice. Like, I don't think I mentioned his singing voice, but yeah, he's got a lot of emotion and passion and good flow. Like, you can tell he's really thinking about stuff, how the phrasing goes and everything. So yeah, I haven't listened to anything really this week. The only music I listened to this week was the Swans album. One night, a couple nights ago, I was just in the mood for some drone stuff. But yeah, I need to get more involved with that. I keep saying that. When I'm in this mode and I get kind of manic with the songwriting, maybe it's better, maybe something, the muse that's leading me down this path is kind of keeping me away from listening to music so I don't get distracted by other people's compositions. I don't get too influenced by someone. Because I like doing it like this. When I was looking at the lyrics this morning on the toilet, that's kind of like my recording studio. I could just sit on the toilet and kind of envision this song being performed or being recorded. That's my begin again place of Zen where I could kind of put all the instrumentation together. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Some people say when they brush their teeth, they can form different melodies and rhythms. I actually had that idea years ago to keep, every time I brushed my teeth, I was going to try to make melodies from the brushing or something. It was a stupid idea and it didn't lead anywhere. But yeah, you never know. You never know when a melody will spark or some idea will happen. That's how I like to write songs. That's when just this morning, or not this morning, but about an hour ago, when I was going through the lyrics, I started hearing the Lee Scratch Perry and the Sublime. Sublime has a song like, Yesterday I saw a whore looking out for more. Dun, 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 dun. I'm on the mic doing, what you liking? It's a really funky song. I like it. I think it's off 40 Ounces to Freedom. I'll have to share that one. And I started singing this song like that, like the Bradley Noel. Inspirations fade away, no re-entry through the gate. But as I was doing that, I was like, man, it's too similar. So then I thought of Run DMC. That's just how my brain was processing things. Then I thought of Michael Jackson, James Brown, St. Vincent. I started hearing Bee Gees, Staying Alive. And then during this recording, I heard the Peter Tosh, the Criss Cross. You remember that song from the 80s? Do the Dinosaur? That came in my head. So all these different songs just pop in my head while I'm going through this. Some of them might impact how I write this. Some of them might not. But I think I like singing this more like a spoken word rap song. Inspirations fade away, no re-entry through the gate. Just a tournament of thieves disappear like history. Your introduction to the greed, lust and lunacy. Surrendered sex appeal, confusion of the fear. But don't get it twisted. Just float the gray. Time the resistance. It's pay to play. So I kind of like that mentality more because I don't feel like I'm ripping anybody off. Might be a little bit of a Run DMC type of feel, but I can't really point to any songs that I'm taking this from. When I was singing it like Sublime, I was like, man, I'm just copying the Sublime song completely. So, yeah, you have to kind of be careful of doing stuff like that because I'm critical when bands get lazy. A couple years ago, people started stealing from like Marvin Gaye, right? Like the Blurred Lines song, right? Was that the title, Blurred Lines? And then there was an Ed Sheeran song that completely stole from Marvin Gaye, but I think he won that I think they sued him actually, but he won in court. I don't really know what the ruling was. But was that what it was called? Blurred Lines, right? That's like completely, yeah, Robin Thicke. Blurred Lines. I think that one openly, right? Didn't it openly steal from Marvin Gaye? Stolen Beat. Yeah, it was a Marvin Gaye. I don't know what the lawsuit. So I guess if you're gonna steal from someone, Marvin Gaye is pretty good, but yeah, you shouldn't be stealing from people. Yeah, Robin Thicke. The 2015, they actually did. Marvin Gaye's side won that one. They had to pay, I guess, Marvin Gaye's estate $5 million. I could see that. People automatically was like, "What the fuck? This is Marvin Gaye." But the Ed Sheeran, I don't think that one. I don't think that one went in. Okay, yeah, the 2023 jury found that Ed Sheeran did not copy Marvin Gaye's "Let's Get It On," ruling that the shared chord progression are common building blocks of music. I don't know. I can see both points of view, but I remember thinking back then, man, this is such a ripoff of Marvin Gaye. He sings something different, but it's also kind of reminiscent of Marvin Gaye style. So I was kind of surprised by that one. I get it. You don't want to. This is hopefully this is not fake news, but Sheeran has often argued that these lawsuits hinder musical creativity. And I get that. I said it a couple times during these blueprints, these therapy sessions, that the evolution of music is a beautiful thing. How the blues influenced Led Zeppelin, then Led Zeppelin influenced hip hop. That's a really cool triangle, musical love triangle. Somehow the blues made it to England in the 50s and 60s, and Led Zeppelin fell in love with it. And then hip hop people were like, man, this Bonham guy's amazing drummer. Let's use this for a lot of shit. People fell in love with Led Zeppelin in the hip hop community. So it's cool how that shit happens, man. Like, I don't think that's outright theft. There's a difference between outright theft and just kind of going with the flow and building off of other people's music. And I guess everyone gets their day in court. Even Led Zeppelin got sued because, what was it, Spirit? They said that they stole the guitar part of Stairway to Heaven. So there's always stuff that come up like that. And I think it's good I do these every day. Every song I write, I kind of go through my influences, so I'm not being disingenuous of who's inspiring each track that I'm, building, each track that I'm going through and analyzing like this. There's a reason I do that, so I'm aware of where it's coming from and what I want to do in the future, and so that other people can see that I'm being as honest as possible with all my influences. And it's tough. It's good and bad to do this on the solo, which I do. I've never worked with other people. I can kind of be creative and not deal with any negative vibes or other people putting in their 2 cents. I'm not against that. I think that's a good thing too. You need an editor in everything you do to some degree. Yeah, it's good to have an inner editor and some kind of an editor to make sure you're not going off the deep end or copying someone too much or trying to do something that you're really not able to do, going into territory that doesn't fit your voice. Like I'm kind of contradicting myself because yesterday I'm like, the DIY approach is the best because you don't have to deal with those doubting voices or record companies telling you this and that to fit a profile so they can market you more successfully to a wide demographic and all that shit. But there's a line somewhere where you do have to edit yourself down. I like approaching music like this, the way I'm doing it. 8-song albums right now, and I've never really done more than maybe 12 songs on an album. I think the most I've ever done is 12. Sometimes I just get more inspired and I have more things to say, but at some point you're going to run out of shit to talk about. This album, I feel like it has some possible radio songs. The one I did yesterday, the Fuck You, I don't think that could be on the radio unless you really make an edited version, but that would kind of reduce the emotional impact of it. If you can't say fuck you, I've been working for free, yeah. If you have to edit that to something else, like it kind of it degrades what the song's really about. So that one probably couldn't be on the radio. But I think there's a couple other ones. Maybe the first song would be considered too risky too. I'm a white, black, Latino, Asian, lesbian man. Like, it's such a weird song structure to it and a weird message. I don't know if that could be on the radio, but there's definitely some. Maybe the title track would be pretty good. But that Fuck You song is probably my favorite one so far. I had a lot of fun with that one yesterday. And it was a cathartic experience. I kept saying that. Because, yeah, you just have to get that shit out. People treading on you and blocking your path in life. Fuck you. Mind your own fucking business. Do your own fucking thing. So it's fun to say shit like that because it's the truth. I know a lot of people feel the same way. Whatever you're trying to accomplish in life, people get in your way or fuck with you. Fuck those people, man. Just fuck them. You have to say that, whether you say it to their faces or you say it like this. It's good to get that shit out. People are fucking assholes. But yeah, I don't think that song could be on the radio because of that. Just you can't say fuck on the radio, right? Like and yeah, you can't really edit it. It doesn't. I don't think any other way to fit the phrasing would really work. I don't know. I really haven't thought about it until right now. But all right, what else can I really talk about with this song? I wasn't going to talk for that long today, but I'm already at what 35 minutes. So I just start rambling, and it's just the time goes by so quickly. Like I don't think I could talk for 3 hours. Like some of the podcasts I listen to, Joe Rogan usually talks to his guests for like 3 hours. I don't know if I could keep that up. That's very difficult, man. Even though I wouldn't be talking like this nonstop for 3 hours. It's a back and forth, back and forth. So it's a little bit different when you're interviewing someone or just having a conversation. You can you don't really get into that good vibe with someone if it's one on one or whatever until an hour in, 2 hours in, where people kind of let their guard down. But I don't feel like it takes me that long. I feel like I've gotten to a good point because I've done this so many times where I can get out what I want to get out and put no filler in there, which is also what I'm trying to do with the music and songs on this. It's only 8 songs, so I don't want any filler at all. Yeah, I want this song to stick out just like all the other ones, to grip people, be like, oh, I hear Sublime in there. I hear Lee Scratch Perry. I kind of see what he's doing with this song. I appreciate that stuff because I do the same thing when I hear a song. I'll be like, oh, I kind of, this reminds me of whatever, and I just go from there. It's not a criticism. It's just, it's cool to see what people are influenced by or what a song will remind me of. There's a song by Dave Rawlings Machine, Ruby, let down your golden hair. And it always reminded me of Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. That, oh shit, I can't think of it now. Girl, I'll be in trouble if you left me now. Is that Harold Melvin? Yeah, I think so. I was gonna try to cover that song at some point. I'll be in trouble if you left me now. I don't know. It reminded me so much of the Dave Rawlings Machine song that I wanted to make one of those YouTube videos to like put them together, mash them up. But yeah, that's a cool thing because when you're in your 40s, you've listened to music for 40 years. You still want to get surprised by stuff, hear something new. When I was 13 and I heard NoFX or Ween or Fear Factory even or Nine Inch Nails, I went to a carnival probably in 7th or 8th grade and I won like a Nine Inch Nails CD off one of the carnival games. And it just blew me away when I heard Nine Inch Nails. It was like a remix of the Downward Spiral or something like that. Further Down the Spiral, I think it was called. But yeah, it's tough to get that feeling again as you get older in life. I used to vend beer. I talked about this. And we used to, maybe 1 or 2 years, we did the Made in America Fest, which actually Nine Inch Nails played one year to close it. It was the Made in America Fest, like at the end of the summer in Philadelphia, and they had like a rave stage, and I felt so old, man. I'm like trying to sell beer to these ravers. They're probably all on ecstasy and all other kinds of psychedelic shit. And I'm like the old guy, hey, we got beer here. All the fucking teenagers are like, what the fuck, man? Yeah, it was weird. I don't know why I'm thinking of that. But yeah, it was weird. When you hear music like that, it's like the South Park episode. It hits you differently when you're in your 30s or 40s, or if you're a teenager. Maybe the drugs have something to do with it. But that goes into this into this song. I mean, excuse me. This song is about only so many vices. Like, it's a personal thing, but everyone can relate to this. You go through different vices in your life. Right now, I'm free from any drugs. I don't do caffeine. I don't do cigarettes. I don't do meat. I don't do dairy or any animal products. I don't do alcohol or anything else. So I cut that out of my life since 2020. Vegan, probably about 4 years. I haven't had any alcohol for probably like a decade, close to that. I haven't smoked a cigarette probably since 2019 or 20. And I cut out coffee. In terms of caffeine, yeah, I don't do any caffeine at all. And I don't miss any of it. I really don't. I don't miss any of those drugs. And I was saying, yeah, I was trying to get a job at Starbucks so I can move out west and work at a Starbucks. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I want to be able to be a bartender. Like, I don't think alcohol should be prohibited or outlawed or anything crazy like that, but I wouldn't want to be around drunk people and alcohol in general because it might point me to that direction to start drinking again. It's kind of inevitable in a way. Like, is there any sober bartenders? I don't know. But I feel like I could be a barista and do it happily because I like the smell of coffee. I drink decaf coffee. I eat decaf coffee. I put it like in my oatmeal and stuff. And just the coffee grinds. But I don't do caffeine. But I don't think it's a crazy drug, or I don't feel like I'm giving people poison by serving them coffee or anything. So I could be around coffee and I wouldn't be tempted to drink caffeine or anything because it's just not a part of me. I haven't had caffeine and like, I don't even know the last time I did, probably 4 years ago. So I don't miss any of that stuff. Caffeine gets out of your system really quickly. Like in a couple of days, you could maybe get a headache or two, but caffeine withdrawal isn't that bad. The worst withdrawal with cigarettes, definitely, 'cause that eats you up, man. Cigarettes will take over your life, more even more than gambling, because it all goes together. When I was gambling, I was smoking a lot. When I was smoking a lot, I was gambling. So those two things went together, and alcohol would join the party at some point. So all those things kind of go together. I don't want to say they're like gateway drugs. I don't really buy that argument too much, but and I'm not judging other people, man. Um, it's fun to gamble. It's fun to smoke. It's fun to drink. They're all bad for you, but there's certain bad things. Cake, Twinkies, anything with sugar is bad for you. So it's like, yeah, bad things are bad, but they're also enjoyable. Fantasizing about, fucking your neighbor's wife or something. It's not good, but it probably feels good to think about stuff like that because you'll never be able to do it. Like when I was a kid, I'm fantasizing about having sex with Pamela Anderson or someone. Like, yeah, it's never going to happen, but that's the fantasy of it. But, is that a vice? I guess it could be a vice. Masturbation could turn into a vice if you do it a lot. If you're a chronic masturbator, I guess that could be a vice. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say everything in moderation because I don't believe in that. Certain things you just have to cut out of your life completely. But I don't know. Everyone could judge it for themselves. I'm not trying to judge other people, man. I said it yesterday. As long as you're not fucking with other people, I'm very laissez-faire. Just I don't think drug addicts should ever be locked up in jail or anything like that. It is kind of a sickness. I don't know the answer to these problems. The best thing is just to stay away from it. But also, it depends on what you're talking about. Heroin is not the same as marijuana and so on and so on. Psychedelics could have healing benefits and they're not addicting. Am I just parroting Joe Rogan stuff? A little bit, yeah, but I did get pretty into that stuff. Hamilton Morris and other people, because it is very interesting and intriguing I heard the story with Erica Wennerstrom about ayahuasca. That's the first time I heard about that. When she was either before she wrote her album, Sweet Unknown, or during it, she went to Peru and she took part in one of those ayahuasca rituals. And she said it was really worth it. And I believe her. I don't think she has any reason to lie about it. I've heard it from other people that you could kind of come to terms with trauma and move forward with your life. So I'm always, not always, but when I, sometimes before I go to sleep, I want to listen to stuff like that. It kind of zones me out. I'll listen to some psychedelic expert talk about something. Lately, it was, or about a week ago, it was Rick Perry. He was on Joe Rogan talking about Ibogaine or some psychedelic that they give to veterans and other people dealing with trauma. And it could kind of reset their brain or something. I don't know. I'm not going to try to get all scientific with it. But about a month ago, I found a place in New Mexico that does peyote rituals. That's the one I want to try more than anything. For some reason, the peyote is calling my name in the desert because I don't know. I really don't know why. I have no idea what it's like. I never tried it. But I feel like I wanted to do something like that. Maybe one day in the future when I'm in a better position, I could experiment safely. I'm pretty sure this place, and I forget, it was some church of peyote, the peyote path, and it's been around for a long time. And yeah, I would take it very seriously. I don't look at this as some party thing, like I'm going to go take peyote and trip my brains out in the desert somewhere and listen to techno music or some shit. Yeah, I don't want to have an experience. I just want to handle it like a spiritual thing because that's how people really first approached plants like that. I don't even want to call it a drug. It's definitely a drug, but it's not like a pharmaceutical pill. Um, I don't know. It's just an interesting drug to me. I'm very drawn to that desert life. I don't know why for a long time now, and hopefully I get to live that reality at some point. I forget the name of the place. I actually contacted them and I want to get information because you never know what's legit and what's not. But I don't know. I would have to do more research on it. 'Cause I don't feel like you could get it easily, and I don't want to do anything illegal. So you got to do it legally in some kind of religious ritual to make it okay. Because peyote's not legal anywhere unless it's a part of a Native American church or something. So yeah, it's a complicated thing. Um, I think certain parts of Oregon, some psychedelics are legal, but I don't think anyone else has really done that yet. But why am I talking about this? Well, yeah, anything can become a vice. That's where I was going with the direction of this song and the lyrics a little bit. Yeah, I said I was addicted to a lot of things in my life: pornography, cigarettes, gambling. Not to a crazy degree, but more than I should have been. Gambling, especially. Gambling was just so much fun, man. And living in New Jersey was so tempting. I could take a train, go to Atlantic City, or where I worked in Philadelphia was 5 minutes away from Parks Casino, which was really bad. There was a couple summers where I would just go after work like every day and just be real stupid with it. It's just it's an adrenaline rush, and I've talked about gambling before, how dangerous it could be. So I kind of swore it off. Out of everything I've given up in my life, like the meat, I don't really. The only thing I miss in terms of food is bison. That sounds really weird. I don't eat any animal products, but bison meat. And I probably talked about that before. It was like always my favorite thing to make. I would make bison burgers, and it was just the best, leanest meat. It always made me feel so healthy. And I don't know. I don't know why. So that's really the only food I miss is bison. I don't even miss pizza, um, because I haven't had a slice of pizza probably like in 5 years. It just doesn't do anything for me. Food is weird. Food is just it's a different it's a cultural thing definitely. Um, but to me, food is a different type of experience now in my life. I just try to eat as healthy as possible and live that straight edge lifestyle because I want to live as long as I can so I could do all this stuff. And not just live long, I want to actually be strong and able to perform these songs and learn how to do this stuff. So it all goes into my mindset of why I'm living the way I live. Are there things I need to do better? Sure. Like, and once I get a new change of scenery, yeah, I want to add some things in my life to make it a little bit healthier in terms of yoga or some kind of exercise routine. But yeah, that comes and goes. For me, like it's a very streaky thing. Every year I get addicted to working out and then I don't, and then I do, and then I don't. So it just comes and goes. I've never been like strictly, I need to do this every day. Like I don't have a routine like that. Maybe I should, but I don't have it right now. But yeah, that's basically everything I wanted to talk about, I guess. And yeah, I'm not trying to judge other people. What is the meaning of this song? Anything can be a vice if you really think about it. You can get addicted to anything. Even positive things can become an addiction. And I don't know what I'm talking about at this point. Because certain things, I was just saying psychedelics aren't really addicting. So again, I'm contradicting myself. The reason people say that, I'm not the expert, but I've heard people say psychedelics, they're not really addicting because it's kind of it deals with your trauma. You have to go inside and face your demons and all that shit. Whether it's, well, Joe Rogan was talking about just edibles, going into a flow tank or whatever it's called, sensory deprivation, taking an edible and seeing all the demons within your psyche and trying to deal with that shit. Because I always say you have to kill your ego, but that shit will come back with a vengeance if you're not aware of it. You're constantly killing your ego. It's not a one-time murder. You have to constantly kill it. It's going to come back and come back and come back. And maybe psychedelics can aid you in that lifelong quest to just be a better person and to be, well, the reason I love the Erica Wennerstrom story, she kept saying you have to be good to yourself, you have to forgive yourself, you have to love yourself before you can do anything else in life. And that's probably the root of it all. You have to heal yourself before you can heal anything else. I've heard that a lot of times from different people in my life. So that's why I was really attracted to the Erica Wennerstrom story. I don't remember her exact reasoning for why she wanted to do that. I don't think she got real personal about whatever was guiding her to do a ayahuasca trip in Peru. But it's a really good story if you can find it. Um, just search for it on NPR. And I think I even shared it before, or I shared it in my book. You can probably still find it on NPR. Just look up Erica Wennerstrom ayahuasca, and you probably find it. And yeah, I like that message. She even has a song on that album called "Be Good to Yourself." And I love that album. It's one of my favorite albums of the last, um, probably the last decade or so. Excuse me. It was called Sweet Unknown, and I'll share that song since it really speaks to everything I'm talking about. But if you don't know Erica Wennerstrom, she's the lead singer of the Heartless Bastards and one of the best voices. And yeah, one of my favorite overall artists of the last, whatever, 10, 20 years. Be good to yourself. That's the name of the song, I believe. And yeah, it kind of deals with, yeah, don't get so down, even if you are addicted to a drug or sex or porn. Don't judge yourself. Just try to improve every day. That's all. I've never really been addicted to alcohol or drugs. Like, more so, it was just something to do socially. I was one of those people on the weekends. So I never missed alcohol. But like I said, I don't want to be around it every day. I used to sell alcohol at Phillies games, Eagles games, concerts, and it didn't like tempt me. Like, I didn't have to go get drunk after work or anything. But I used to go gamble after work. Gambling was way more addicting to me. I don't know if it was a money thing or the thrill of it. Alcohol just gets you depressed. Like, I don't get it. People who are depressed will go to a bar and drink to get more depressed. It doesn't really equate in my head. Why is alcohol illegal, but marijuana, which could make you feel better, it could heal you, it could also fuck you up. I know it can make you even less. It could also increase depression, I believe. But I'm not an expert on this shit. I'm not saying any of this shit is is evil. Alcohol is not an evil in my head. Marijuana is not an evil. It's not going to make you crazy. But I feel like there has to be consistency when you talk about stuff like that, where you could have alcohol commercials during football games, but marijuana is considered an evil drug. And if you get caught like Ricky Williams, you'll get banned from the NFL for life. I think that will change, and it's already changing. People with that old mentality, it's all propaganda. Oh, if you smoke weed, you're gonna be this. It's gonna melt your brain and all this bullshit. It's gonna lead to all these other drugs. And yeah, I'm sure that's true in some cases, but same thing with alcohol, same thing with cigarettes. And yeah, there's no consistency with drug policy. It's very racial, racist, and politically driven. And yeah, I'm not going to get into that. I start talking about drug stuff, drug war, and I'll talk for like another hour of bullshit. But yeah, it all plays a part in how I form this song, though. Uh, am I happy? I'm just speaking to myself, though. I like being sober with no drugs, no sugar, nothing. Like, 'cause sugar is just as deadly as anything else. Sugar is just as deadly as a lot of those drugs that are Schedule 1. For some reason, marijuana is considered Schedule 1. Never understood that. But yeah, I don't do any processed food. Even caffeine, I don't do caffeine because I feel like it's the Mormon philosophy. There was a point, I guess I was spiritually searching, which I'm still doing, I guess. And I always heard that the Mormons don't do any caffeine, and I started researching that. There's some even more strict denominations or whatever that don't even do hot beverages, or everything has to be room temperature. There's like a lot of weird rules. I don't want to call it weird because I'm doing it too. I'll drink decaf coffee and tea, so there's probably a little bit of caffeine, but I do. I was like picking and choosing from different religious beliefs. Hinduism is big on the vegetarianism, veganism. That's not really the reason I went that direction, but maybe maybe that played a part later of why I kept it. Because there's millions and millions of people that live this lifestyle for whatever reason, and it just connected with me. And yeah, I really don't miss anything. When I first started this diet, yeah, it was a bit of a radical change, but I wasn't eating red meat in my later 30s anyway. I cut out pork in my 30s because I was reading a lot of that stuff about certain food. why do certain religions cut out pork? It just made sense to me. I cut out dairy maybe 5 years ago. No dairy, no cheese or anything. And yeah, it's a lifelong process. But, and I'm not saying these things are vices. I'm not trying to be like a judgmental voice at all, because I don't care what people eat. Everyone is an individual. They know the risk. They know their bodies. You're an individual. You have control over your body, and nobody should really be able to tell you what you can and can't do. And that's a vague statement too, but in terms of consumption, I guess, because people drink themselves to death or whatever, smoke cigarettes their whole lives. Some people will get sick from it. Some people won't. It's just, I don't know. It's just whatever it is. I really don't miss any of that stuff, and I'm not calling for any of this stuff to be illegal or anything like that. I'm just saying, yeah, these things are vices. There's a reason why they put those warning labels or messages. Well, they don't even advertise cigarettes anymore. They still advertise alcohol. But when gambling's a huge advertisement industry. DraftKings, FanDuel. I was crazy addicted to those too. I guess you could call those gambling vices. But there's a reason they put those messages. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER after every gambling commercial, because I know it's addicting as shit. If you do DraftKings and FanDuel, especially for basketball, where it's like every night, that shit got me so addicting, man. So addicted. And I talked about it in my book as well. But that's basically where my head's at for a song like this. And out of all the songs I've done so far, I feel like this one would get edited the most, because I'm still not sure about the flow of the verses, especially. Maybe the chorus is kind of cool, and the bridge kind of works, because it reminds me of Sublime. And I'll have to add a verse 3, but I'm still not sure about how I did the spoken word verses. I might like it when I hear this, or I might want to change it later. Well, that's about it. Tomorrow is the last song on this album, and I'm going to attempt to make it even more crazy than I've done over the last few weeks. I wanted to make this like my Bohemian Rhapsody song, but I don't know if I can get there. I have about 10 or so snippets on my recorder on my phone that I did this week or last week. I don't even remember anymore. And I'll see if they can fit together. So if I can make a song that doesn't have any repeating parts like Bohemian Rhapsody does, it just goes from one section to the next, or NoFX The Decline, I'll attempt it and see if I like it. But I don't know. I'm not making any promises to myself yet, because I don't know if I can write a song like that. Especially right now, I'm not creatively blank. I'm definitely very manic right now creating stuff, but I don't know if I have the tools to really write a song like that right now. Because you look at Bohemian Rhapsody, it's such a, like, many consider it the most, or it is a complicated song, but just the most operatic or orchestral. I don't know what word I want to use. It is like a mini symphony. Like, I think that's a fair assessment of it. That it has these ups and downs like that. Like, what the hell? When I heard that as a kid, I was just blown away. Like a lot of people, it was in Wayne's World, and I watched that as a kid, and it just blew my mind, man. I was like, what the hell is this? So yeah, thank you, Wayne's World. So I'm going to attempt. I'm saying it out loud, and I think I mentioned it already, but maybe this would motivate me more to try to do this song. But I don't know where it's going to end up. So, no promises there. And yeah, that'll do it. After this, I'm going to just focus on writing the book little by little because I don't think I'll have any more songs or any more albums after this one's finished. And yeah, I guess that's all for now.